we're caught in a cacophony of all kinds of noise. But that still quiet voice inside us is telling us what is truth, what is dharma, what is right action, what I need to be doing, what's the choice I need to be making. So there is guidance inside each of us that is all the time speaking to us, and inner courage and inner compassion, and to be humble, and to be able to truly be a seeker and a student all the time, to be a beginner.
Welcome back, Curiosulus Chronicles listeners. This is Rohit Gautam, your host. Today, I'm with a very special guest who mixes mythology with leadership. Quite excited for this podcast today. But before we start, I would like to thank Abhyuday Global Coach Circle for their continuous support. If you are looking to get into professional coaching, please do check out their upcoming programs. And secondly, please do subscribe to this channel for latest updates. My aim is to get to 5,000 subscribers by end of this year. So please help me reach out to 5,000 subscribers by pressing the subscribe button and then pressing the bell icon so you can get the updates in the future. So moving on to today's episode. Our guest name is Naveen Vasudevan. Welcome Naveen, welcome to Curiosulus Chronicles podcast.
Thank you, Rohit. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I am actually very looking forward to this conversation because since I was born, mythology has been brought up into me. And then, when this topic came about, I was very excited to have you on the show and discuss about how we can link leadership traits with mythology. So before we start, Naveen, I would like you to please introduce yourself to our audience and please share your journey where you are at the moment.
Sure, Rohit. Thank you again. My name is Naveen Vasudevan. I am based out of this intentional community called Auroville. It's a community that's built on values of spirituality, human evolution, and really it's supposed to be an experimental community that sort of is exploring human evolution rather deeply, and human unity. So we have people from about 50 different countries living here. And it's a fascinating community to be in. Maybe I'll send more of a description about it.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's where I'm based. That is so Auroville is home, and I run a center for leadership here out of Auroville called the Aram Center for Evolution Leadership. That's basically what I'm primarily anchoring here, and I work with young change makers and social entrepreneurs and anybody who's looking at inner and outer transformation, the connection between the two. So I work with people who are hoping to be the change they want to see in this world. And
Nice.
Looking to create a community of such people who hopefully can also then both be inspired and also inspire a deep transformation in society and in themselves. So that's really, in brief, the kind of work that I'm engaged in.
No, that's amazing. That's great to hear, Naveen. That's great to hear. And you mentioned regarding be the change you aspire to be, right? What others aspire to be. That is very, very crucial in this sense, isn't it? And where is this, or is it South India? Where is it? Which part of South India?
Auroville is based in South India. Yes, it's based near this beautiful little city or town. It's more a city actually called Pondicherry.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Chennai, a couple 100 kilometers, more or less, from Chennai, in the south of India, and we're very close to Pondicherry, and yes,
Okay.
south of India.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah. One day I can make it.
Yes,
One day I'll definitely.
You can look me up. Let me know before you're coming, and I'm very happy to be of assistance.
Sure.
But
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite. Thank you. So, as today's topic is leadership lessons from mythology, especially in Mahabharata, where you talk about a lot in this. So, in my head the question is that, there are a lot of characters in Mahabharata. There's a lot of leaders like Arjuna, Yudhishthira, Krishna, right? Each with their different leadership style. Each they had the different, archetypes. So, in your view, could you share something like how these archetypes are quite different, and then how they're linked to this modern leadership styles. I'm quite curious here.
Sure, Rohit. I work with the Mahabharata quite a bit in my work, and that's one reason why we got connected on this call. And
Yeah.
the Mahabharata, as I understand it, it talks about the importance of various forms of leadership and the coming together, the alchemy of various forms of leadership. So all the main five heroes of the Mahabharata, and there's also Draupadi, who is an important part of this whole story, and an important part of their own unfoldment. So all of them, the Pandavas, Draupadi, and some other significant characters, all of them embody forms of leadership that we that any living system needs, any human system needs for it to thrive.
Right.
So the quality that Yudhishthira brings is different from the qualities, the essential qualities that a Bhima brings, or an Arjuna brings. So they're all very important for any living system to thrive. So what they bring, or what they embody, um, are parts of ourselves. So we have all of them within us. All these archetypes are inside us, but what they embody are heroic aspects of all of these energies inside ourselves. So how I see them as important today is that they are a reminder to values and gifts and potentials within us, which all of us have. But for various reasons, only one or two of these usually are very active in us, or are far more watered, or some are far more embodied, while a few of these are not so expressed, not so much expressed.
Right. Right.
So Mahabharata reminds us of the importance of embodying all of these archetypal energies, not just say one or two of them.
So Naveen, how this is now link it to then modern way of leadership, and how you can link it to those characters.
Yeah. So, see, these archetypal energies, they are in a sense timeless. They are inside all of us. And that is why the Mahabharata as a story, though it's thousands of years old, still makes deep sense today. It's still relevant today. Grandparents are telling grandchildren these stories even today, because there is a deep relevance to it, and grandchildren are receiving these stories, and they're not getting bored or switching off. So the story holds a certain timeless relevance, because these archetypal energies are not just ancient, they're very present right now in the here and now. There is a Mahabharata playing out inside each of us.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is I would say there is a Kurukshetra. There's a war raging in every heart nearly. And that war within is what is visible as the war outside.
Okay.
Yeah. And hence, we have a lot to learn and reflect on. Based, the Mahabharata has a lot to offer us in terms of deep self-reflection about our own patterns in the here and now, even today. And I don't see mythology as a story that's happened out there in time, but as something that is unfolding in the here and now as we speak inside each of us. So it's a living reality even today. And so, what can the Mahabharata offer modern day leaders is how to be good leaders today. It can offer very valuable and timeless lessons about how to be a truly soulful and a meaningful leader, and a leader who can truly impact our context today. So it can offer multiple lessons and a lot of
Interesting.
inspiration.
Interesting. So my favorite part of Mahabharata is Krishna. So I wanna talk about Krishna actually here. And viewers, if you don't know about Mahabharata, because a lot of my viewers are Western in Western world as well, they probably don't know Mahabharata. I'll put a link in the description to a short story about what is Mahabharata and how it started. So please listen to that as well. Watch that as well before you start this episode. That would be great. So you know the context behind this episode. So I mean, like Krishna, right? He's there as a guide, and there are a lot of choices every leader made in Mahabharata was quite linked to the ethics. So as a guide, Krishna. So if you take the Krishna's role, how does we can navigate those tough ethical choices, right, as leaders, because leaders today's world face a lot of ethical choices they have to make,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So how
Yeah.
does we can learn from Krishna in that Mahabharata to say, okay, if that's the war within us for those ethical choices, how can we navigate through it?
Beautifully put. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we are faced with dilemmas, ethical dilemmas, as you put it, quite often in our lives today. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in today's. And in many Indian languages, a beautiful word for it, a phrase for it, called dharma sankata,
Yes.
or in
Yeah.
Hindi called dharam sankat.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh, the ethical dilemma would be a very poor translation, but I guess that's how far we can go in English in terms of translating it. And what I would like to offer here is that Krishna is not really a he out there,
Okay.
but it's a deep intelligence deep inside each of us, and it's an intelligence far beyond us that we can't really decipher with our minds. So whether it's a he or a she, whatever it is, it's a deep intelligence and a deep presence inside us. And if we can, true leadership is about being able to tap into that intelligence and letting it flow through us.
Right.
At least
Right.
that's how I understand leadership. And what the Pandavas do is they manage to reach out to the Krishna inside, and let that intelligence flow through them. And so it's not really the individuals that are acting anymore, but it is something else much larger than them acting through them. So they become mere instruments of a divine music to be played through them. Yeah. So this, in a sense, is what I understand as the essence of spirituality, and the essence of yoga, the essence of spirituality, not just Indian spirituality, but all spirituality, is how could we become effective instruments of higher will, and of a greater peace, and of a greater presence to act through us. And so the Pandavas managed to do it, and hence they are inspiring, and then the hero archetypes. If they didn't, then I really don't think there is much to learn from them. So what I submit here for our consideration is Krishna really an entity out there, or is it a deep intelligence and a presence inside us? And if so, then how can we learn to embody that intelligence and that presence more and more? Yeah, that way
Cool.
it gives all of us the opportunity to embody, or be in touch with Krishna deeply. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been thinking while you're speaking, like it's all within, right? That we said that the whole energy you were talked about earlier, that and then the work you are doing is about the self, is about
Yeah.
inside us. We need to look at those Krishna inside us. It's not out there; it's inside us.
Yes.
So wonderfully put. There's a
Yes.
different way of thinking about this, isn't it, Naveen?
Mhm.
So
The
rather
war
than
is also inside us, and the antidote to the war is also inside us.
yeah, that's
You know.
the great way to put it there. Yeah. Cool. So obviously, my most of the work I see, most of the leaders I see in today's world, we live in VUCA world, which is very volatile, uncertain, and ambiguous. So, and there are a lot of complex decisions they have to make. Like in
Indeed.
Mahabharata, I'm now thinking like Arjuna had to make a very difficult decision to go on war with Bhishma Pitama, all his loved ones, right? And then how can modern day leaders draw from mythology, or especially from Mahabharata, for making those complex, high stake decisions, that impact many people, many stakeholders, and obviously people working within their organizations?
Wow. Terrific question again, Rohit. Yeah. How can modern day leaders learn from the Mahabharata? Like I said, the Mahabharata to me is a story that points to um, the riches within, both the war within,
Yeah.
and then the art of transforming that war, and then using that energy to evolve. Yeah, the Kauravas manage to, sorry, the Kauravas don't manage to resolve the war inside, and so they get caught, with violence, while the Pandavas manage to transform that war inside. So they become, in a sense, agents of deep change, agents of deep transformation. Yeah. Now, what can we learn today from the Mahabharata is the importance of practice and the importance of transformation, the importance of deep transformation. Yeah, and the importance of sadhana. Again, it's an Indian word, but however I would probably translate that is sincere practice. The Pandavas go through a period of deep penance and deep transformation and deep practice, and hence they become far more effective instruments of, again, the higher intelligence to flow through them. And today, as leaders, it's very important to be able to have sincere and deep practice, of not just managing the outer world, but also learning to be aligned with our own inner energies, and
Right.
to be able to tap into our own inner wisdom and inner courage and inner compassion, and to be humble, and to be able to truly be a seeker and a student all the time, to be a beginner, to have the beginner's mind. So a lot of this points to inner transformation, and the Pandavas embody, are great role models in that sense, because they have gone through that sort of transformation themselves, and there's a certain process that they follow or that they embrace, and that could give us a lot of clues for our own transformative practice. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so that got me thinking on this, Naveen.
Mhm.
It's interesting. There are a lot of questions going on in my head now, right?
Please,
And
yes.
we talked about Pandavas, right, and Krishna.
Mhm.
So you said
Mhm.
these are the archetypes. So these are the traits we think we are within us, right? So Krishna as a guide and Yudhishthir as he does always right thing. And is there so all the traits in your understanding? They're all the six traits you need to be within yourself to be a good leader. Is that where this coming out to?
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. No, that's not really what I'm trying to say. All I'm saying is there are more than six traits, but there are archetypal energies.
Okay,
Each of them embody a deep archetypal pattern and an energy, which has
right,
both
right,
its shadows, it has its dysfunctions, it also has its heroic manifestations. So there's a whole spectrum of this,
right, right.
and not all of us will be able to embody all of them,
Okay,
but to be able to recognize that these are important, and able to uh, to embody what we are able to deeply embody ourselves, and then to be able to work with others on a team in a way that can complement missing energies and important energies that are required for whatever we need to do. So it all I'm saying is, we don't an individual needn't embrace or embody all of them. That might be asking for too much, though we have the potential and the capacity to.
right.
We could perhaps become part of communities and teams that can be more well-rounded in terms of the traits.
Okay,
So
okay.
together, we're stronger, and
Right,
we are
right.
anchored deeply.
Good,
You
got it,
know,
got it. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
what I lack, maybe you can complement me, and what you sort of maybe are missing out a little bit on, somebody else can complement. So as a team, we can sort of that's, so in a sense the Pandavas are a team.
True.
It's
Yes,
not
yeah.
one alpha male, one Rambo fighting the bad guys.
Yes, yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like, it's actually a model of collective leadership,
Collective
where
leadership. That's
there's no one
yeah,
superstar,
yeah,
but they all work together. So
yeah. Brilliant,
yeah,
brilliant, brilliant. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking about bad guys then, I'm curious then here. Then what can we learn from Kauravas? We term them. I mean, in Mahabharata, if I was when I was growing up, I was like, oh, they are the bad guys, right? In my younger days, when I was a little child, they are the bad guys. The more and more I learned about this, it's now, it's very complex. It's not easy, to be
Yeah.
Kauravas as well, right? So what can we learn in your understanding then?
Wow, beautiful question again, Rohit. See, firstly, I know they're touted, they're built up as the bad guys,
Yeah.
but I would like to desist from seeing anything as good and bad
Yes.
as out there.
Yes.
Nobody is
Yeah.
completely bad, and I don't think anybody is
Exactly.
completely good. So
Exactly.
we're
Yeah.
all a combination.
Yeah.
And how I would like to approach it is the Kauravas and the Pandavas are all inside us. Yeah. And when I am embodying certain energies dysfunctionally, then the Kauravas are acting more in me. And when I can embody these energies in a way that's functional or heroic, then the Pandavas are acting through me. But they're both inside me. And what can we learn from the Kauravas is the fact that this could happen to any of us
True.
if we're not aware. Meaning, for example, nobody names their child Duryodhana. You know,
Yeah.
his there are people, there are versions of the story which say that his name was actually Suyodhana. You know,
Oh, okay.
but through his intense, because of his intense jealousy and other dysfunctionalities, he becomes distorted. So any of us, if we are not truly aware, and if we are playing out certain patterns habitually, and we live life unconsciously, we could actually be embodying the Kauravas. Unconscious behavior and unconscious living, to me, is the Kauravas running the show inside.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
because a large part of human population lives unconsciously, is why we have the kind of violence we have in the world. Yeah. So self and system are deeply interconnected. And so my invitation is, can we not look at the Kauravas as the bad guys out there, but these are patterns inside each of us. And in fact, a large part of the world embodies the Kauravas a lot more than the Pandavas. And how can we have compassion for ourselves and each other, and most importantly, transform these dysfunctional patterns within ourselves. Today we're destroying the earth because the Kauravas are running the show from inside us. And so, can we learn to transform them? And so, can we use them as warnings? Can we use them as examples for what will happen if we don't learn to transform our inner worlds? So they can be great friends,
Yeah.
who have messed up in a sense for us in myth, so that we can learn from them and not mess up in real life so much. You know.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Actually, yeah. So that is great way to put it here, Naveen. I think hopefully listeners who are listening, they can get something from this. We need to. So how I'm seeing is we need to be more of that, less of that, right? Like you said, it's all within us. But we
It's all
want to
within
use,
us.
yeah, we want to use more of those Pandavas' energy rather than Kauravas' energy, and then,
Exactly.
you know,
And there is an art of transformation here.
yes,
You know,
yeah,
it's not just that I can, the spiritual practice for me is the art of transforming the Kaurava energies into the Pandava energies.
okay, right,
You know?
right,
So there is alchemy involved here in a sense. There is transformation involved. So it won't happen on its own. And so it requires sincere effort.
okay. So, what are the other tools or practices available for people to, transform?
Um, well, for me, the tools available, or the practices available, would be the collective spiritual heritage of humanity itself. Yeah,
Okay,
we can learn from all across the world. To me, I mean, if I have to give you one system, to me, this would be all of yoga. Yeah,
okay, okay,
but I don't want to restrict it to just yoga in a sense. While yoga definitely is one praxis, that enables deep transformation. But I don't think yoga stops us from learning from any and every authentic tradition in the world. So we can learn from everywhere as long as what we're learning is authentic and deeply grounded and rooted. And the collective spiritual heritage of humanity basically points towards the art of inner transformation.
Right. Right.
Yeah? So we can learn from across the board, from
Across.
everywhere,
Okay.
as long as
Okay.
it's authentic. Because a lot of new age stuff that's sort of popping up as the real deal. I would say we need to be cautious about some of that, or a lot of
Right.
that. But I'm saying whatever, wherever we can learn, there's an authentic source we can learn from there.
Okay.
So,
So tell me more about this authentic. What do you mean by this authentic source?
well, what for me authentic would be is that which enables me, or any of us to discover our deepest truths and help, our deepest reality,
Right.
which different traditions talk about as oneness, or as interconnection, or interdependence, or love, or as God. Different traditions give it different labels, but eventually it's an experience we need to experience. It's a felt experience, and those who experience that inner reality or truth come out with greater wisdom, or embody greater wisdom, a greater sense of compassion, love, courage, and they are able to embody and channelize their inner truths far more with greater conviction, far greater conviction, and they become agents of deep transformation in the world. Also become great leaders, in a sense, great agents of change. So, how do we first tap into a deep well of wisdom and love and compassion and courage and many other qualities that are inside us, and then channelize them for the betterment of oneself and, of course, the greater common good, the greater good?
So how would I know then something
Mhm.
is authentic? I think this is where I'm thinking, because say
Yeah.
for example in the story of like Mahabharata, when Duryodhana went to get help from Krishna, and
Yes.
he chose Krishna's army, right, rather than
Yeah.
Krishna. So how would I know? How could it be
Yeah.
I can channel my Arjun in myself and say this is authentic for me? I should go
Fair.
for this.
I must admit, I'm very impressed with your knowledge of the Mahabharata, Rohit. Yeah.
I just
Somebody who's
watched
lived outside of
it.
India for so long. For somebody who's lived outside of India for so long, very impressive. Yeah. Yes. See, our inner intuition would know when
Okay.
something's, you
Right.
know,
Right.
that's the art we need to hone. How do I learn to listen to this deep, still voice within me? You know,
Okay. Okay.
and learn to value it, recognize it, honor it, and really listen to it, because otherwise, we're caught in a cacophony of all kinds of noise, but that still quiet voice inside us is telling us what is truth, what is dharma, what is right action, what I need to be doing, what's the choice I need to be making. So there is guidance inside each of us that is all the time speaking to us, but just that we get caught in a cacophony of all kinds of noise, and hence that little voice gets muffled. Yeah. um, I think practice, deep psychological transformation and spiritual practice, another way of putting it would be is to it kind of increases the silence within us, in a sense reduces the cacophony. And because the cacophony calms down, and as the cacophony calms down more and more, I'm able to tune into that voice more and more clearly, that still quiet voice. Yeah, that still silent voice. And that clearly tells us what is authentic and what is not authentic.
Great.
And you can
Okay.
call this voice intuition if you like, but it's not a conditioned voice. It's a voice of something very deep and very honest within us.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I have to think. I have to think a lot on this now.
Yeah.
Now
To
you.
me, a true leader learns to listen to this voice more
Okay.
and more.
More
You
and
know, you
more.
take you
Right.
take Gandhi, Martin Luther King, or Nelson Mandela, or any great leader. You name them. Many of them, or nearly all of them, have spoken about learning to listen to this voice, and then being, in a sense, respectful to this voice and letting it lead them. So the real leadership, in a sense, comes from within.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting at today.
Mhm.
It's all
Mhm.
within. There's nothing out there. It's all within. I need to listen to that voice. Uh, that's a great
Even the word
insight.
guru, right? Even the
Yeah.
word guru, uh, from what little I understand, says, dispel of darkness, but the real guru is inside. Even an authentic outer guru is supposed to point you towards your own inner guru. You know, uh, Unfortunately, such gurus are not very common these days,
Yes.
because it makes more business sense. It
Yeah.
makes more business sense for me to tell you, I have all the answers to your problems, so come to me and give you all your money. But it doesn't make much business sense to say, no, Rohit, it's all inside you.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, but that's but that's the real honest guru, according to me. The
Cool.
one who
Yeah.
can point back to you, to your own source.
Yeah. I think this now you said this. I think this is the authentic self you mentioned as well. Like you will know this is not authentic if you are practicing your inner self. You're practicing inner conscious. You will
Yeah,
know the person out there is just for business, not for actually helping you. So you
exactly,
know,
exactly.
cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now let's move on to something very very close to me actually, because as leaders you have to feel, you have to be always there to solve a conflict. Organizations with teams, there's a lot of conflict management happens. What
Mhm,
can we
mhm.
learn from mythology regarding conflict management?
Wow. Okay. Well, more than conflict management, I think what we can learn from the Mahabharata, because I'll speak to the Mahabharata, primarily
Sure.
speak
Yeah.
from the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
I think what's more importantly needed and urgently needed today is conflict transformation. You know,
Okay.
so how do we transform conflict itself? And the world is actually mired in more and more conflict. I mean, we're potentially at the edge of global war, if not already in it. And things are getting worse. So the conflict is sort of erupting all around us, because I think we haven't learned to transform the conflict inside again. Like I said earlier, there is a Kurukshetra, there is a battlefield inside every heart, nearly. And the various parts of ourselves are pulling and pushing us in different directions. And I'm caught in between, and I'm not sure how to respond to this. And I get caught in this war within. And because I haven't learned to transform this conflict inside, uh, I don't know how to deal with the conflicts outside either. So, and as leaders living in a world where conflict is escalating more and more all around, multiple fault lines, at war with each other and whatnot. Um, I think the Mahabharata shows us the art of transforming the inner, the inner conflict first, and then engaging with the conflict outside from there. Because if I haven't learned to transform my inner conflict, what do I have to offer to the situation anyway? you know just more of my own biased perspectives. So what we can learn from mythology and Mahabharata primarily here is the importance of being deeply at peace within, and from that location engaging with the war outside. It's not just enough if I find my inner peace, but how am I showing up in the world from that location? So while the Pandavas have discovered a deep anchorage, they don't just slink away or stay in the forest. You know, they come back and engage with adharma, or that which is not wholesome, and they challenge it and they take it on, and in a sense, they establish the rule of dharma again.
Okay.
So it's important to engage with conflict, but from a space of inner non-conflict or inner peace.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I want to unpack this a little bit more, because this is quite, in today's organization, we all quite different with different, um, you know, everyone has different practices, the different religions and everyone, right? We have a different, understanding of everything,
Mhm.
and very diverse today's organizations. And this is very good, right? So we need diverse thinking. We need diverse people to, come in. Uh, So I want to unpack it a bit more on this. So you mentioned it's all kind of inner conflict, right? But how can, as a leader, then I can kind of bring everyone together if there is a conflict to think about the inner conflict rather than, think about what the problem is in front of them or what the conflict is in front of them.
Sure, sure. No, I'm not talking about a denying of the conflict in front of us.
Yes, yeah.
All I'm saying is, can we find its roots, which are often within ourselves? But this is not to deny the conflict outside.
Okay, okay.
All I'm
Right.
saying is the problem or the situation can only be solved as we pull it out of its roots. What is visibly manifest outside is only tip of the iceberg. So because I have not discovered deep love or compassion or interdependence or interconnection within me, is why I see you as separate from me, right? And because you have different beliefs, you pray to a different god, you worship a different god or whatever, you come from a different culture, your color of your skin is different from the color of my skin, whatnot, suddenly you look like the other to me, you look somebody like an alien, you're alien to me, because I have not yet discovered how you and I are deeply one, how you and I are deeply interconnected. Yeah. And from that space of separation, you look like somebody who's competing with me for scarce resources, or you look dangerous to me. But if I can find that heart of love, or that heart of compassion, or that heart of unity, yeah, then maybe I don't have to be so afraid of you. Maybe I can actually celebrate your diversity, our diversity. Diversity, I feel, becomes a challenge and something to be afraid of, and something that seeds conflict when we haven't discovered our deep unity inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think a leader will at best only be able to manage conflict, but it's not a long-term solution. If at best, if I'm only externally focused, all I'm saying is, if I'm only externally focused, I'll at best be only able to manage conflict, but it won't be a long-term solution. To transform conflict deeply, which means all that energy that is getting wasted
Yeah.
in conflict is now available for something creative and powerful and innovative. Now that is only possible when the leader invites people to dive deeper as well, and learn and enable a deeper healing or a deeper discovery. And when that's possible, and when that is achieved, then I think conflict is transformed, and that energy is actually available for something powerful as a team, as an organization, as a community. And that community or that team can really, I think, shake the world, in a very healthy. So,
So, am I right in my thinking then? Because, say, for example, in a team, and then there are a lot of, or there is diverse. Think of there's a lot of Koras energy, and then there's a lot of Pandavas energy, and then they're conflicting with each other.
yes.
And
Yes.
as leader, my role is to make everyone aware of those energies, and to see the inner conflict where they are. They want to show more of Pandava's energy rather than Kaurava's energy, and then bring them together in one area or one space in their mind, or what is that? Am I right in my thinking?
Yeah. See, this is usually a process.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Right.
not just that I can show them, like I as a person cannot show another person
Yes. Yeah.
what's right action.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ideally, I should be embodying this deep transformation myself.
Right.
So to me, the leader leads by
Example. Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
The leader leads by embodying it by example,
Yeah.
not talking
Yeah.
about it, right?
Yes. True.
So my team or my colleagues, those around me, my context, needs to see me embodying a deep transformation themselves first. Yeah. If they only hear me talking about it, then
Yeah.
I'm not setting.
Yeah.
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 Firstly, which means I have brought about this alchemy within myself, and it's a process. It's not that I do it one day.
Yeah.
I'm a work
True.
in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fruits of it are clear for others to see. After a certain level of practice, while we're all works in progress, the fruits of our practice will start showing. This person will be more content, will be more at peace. Their quality of listening will be deeper. You know, the way they invite people into their space would be different. The presence that they hold, would you could see, you can sense it,
Right.
that something is happening to this person. This person was not the same person he or she was 5 months ago. you know the change is visible and it's palpable. you know and and there's certain magnetism about them, which is not just empty charisma, but there is a certain quiet joy about them. So you can see that there's a glow about this person, and they're already embodying a higher consciousness, right? And what they're offering to others is the path that they have walked themselves. Yeah. So can they invite others into a process of self-reflectivity and inner discovery? So we don't have to preach to anybody about the importance of being Pandavas. You know, can we throw light on how we're all being Kauravas? Can I learn? Can I enable people to discover their own dysfunctional patterns? And when they discover it, that intelligence of discovery will automatically also start bringing in a transformation. So I don't need to be told to be truthful. Yeah, if I can discover the pain and the dysfunctionality of being false, that pain will itself help me transform towards truth. Does that make sense? You know,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking now. Obviously,
I
Krishna
can
is a
give
guide. Yeah.
I can give you another example. You see, I
Please.
don't
Yeah.
need to be told to be healthy. Yeah, if I can discover what I'm losing by being at dis-ease, and by being diseased, yeah, and I'm using disease in a very broad way, not just physical disease. If I can discover all that I'm losing by being by being diseased and at unease, right? If I can see what I'm losing and what's happening to me because of that, that clarity of vision will automatically start moving me towards health, start taking small steps towards becoming more healthy. Again, I'm using health broadly, not just physical health. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you
Yeah.
don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell me about the importance of being healthy. Can you show to me? Can you help me see how I'm being unhealthy?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. If you
Okay.
can
Okay.
enable that clear vision of my own dis-ease, then I will start prioritizing health now from there.
Right. 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 Okay. In my head, I was thinking, Krishna as a guide, as energy there, in that conflict management, he tried to not have the war, right? He tried to, teach the Krishna, Kaurav and Pandavas to not have the war. But the war happened, right? So as a
Yeah.
guide, or as a coach, or because coach is kind of, we think ourselves as guides, guiding the teams, guiding the leaders, but then there's such a situation where we are unhelpful. We can't do anything because the energies are quite strong and then they're conflicting. So what can we learn from that then in today's organizations?
Well, sometimes conflict is necessary.
Yeah,
You
true.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
you do your best to avoid, uh, uh, you know, conflict. Not avoid conflict, but to transform conflict rather, to find peaceful means to resolve challenging situations. But if it's not possible, then it's unfortunate. But sometimes such war is inevitable. Sometimes, unfortunately, and to be able to then step back and fight the good fight, I would say, is part of learning to be a leader.
Okay.
You do your
Right.
best to avoid it. You do your best to really work for a peaceful way out of the whole thing. And one does one's best and stretches to the utmost possible. But beyond a point, it is not wise to compromise on truth for the sake of peace.
Right.
You know
Okay.
that is a
Yeah.
false peace.
Yes.
So if the situation is so intractable in a sense, then what do? Then, as a last resort, I think one needs to then go ahead with that conflict and hope for minimal damage. But really, but yes. So
Okay.
I'm not a fan of being a pacifist at all costs. So
Yeah. because there was high stakes at there, right? And then sometimes leaders have to make those tough decisions.
Yes, but my question would be, what am I fighting for? What are the stakes all about? If it's about money and success and all derived in a sort of narrow sense, then sure, then that's not going to help. That's just going to create more violence in the world. But if it is to establish dharma, if it's establish a deep order, a deep truth, which is far beyond our own individual egotisms, then sometimes war is necessary. So the war that the Pandavas fought, I don't see it as a narrow war that was fought for vengeance. It was fought to establish dharma again on the throne,
Yeah,
because the Kauravas were not agent. They were not ruling a dharmic, dharmically.
yeah,
They were not ruling uh, uh, like they were not ruling in a way that enables life to flourish.
yeah,
In fact, the way they were going about the affairs was actually scuttling life, and was actually violent. So to eliminate that violence, unfortunately, the war had to be fought.
yeah.
So it depends on what am I fighting for, myself or something much larger than me. You know.
Interesting, interesting. Thanks, Naveen. We are at the end of our podcast, but
Mhm.
it's been really, really profound learning for me. I hope for the audience as well. And I think we can probably go more deeper in the future episodes on this, because it's quite intriguing, basically, regarding how you linking leadership to Mahabharata and other things. So hopefully we can unpick one area and then go deeper into that in future episodes. That would be great. Before we end, I would like to ask you, what young leaders, what advice would you give to young leaders then, who are coming up now?
Sure. Oh, thanks, Rohit. Firstly, let me respond to your earlier suggestion of picking, digging deeper.
Deeper, yeah.
I do think we only scratched the surface today.
Yes, yeah,
And
true, yeah.
I'm happy to continue this conversation. After
Thank
a
you,
few weeks,
thank you, thank you,
let's soak in this deeper, and
thank you.
let me reflect on what I've shared as well, and we
Sure,
can
sure.
dig deeper from there. So I'm available, and so thank you for the thought provoking questions. I'm also learning a lot in this space. Um, what advice would I give young leaders? I'm not a fan of advice, but what I would really invite them, rather, more than advice, what I would invite them to do is to ask fearless questions, about not just themselves, but also about the world that we inhabit, and how to live in today's times meaningfully. Ask fearless questions, and to sincerely seek for answers. So I feel when we ask the big questions fearlessly, not just for the sake of ourselves, but for larger well-being as well, for collective well-being as well, and when we seek sincerely for answers, I think life then steps up. And if we take one step towards life, life takes 10 steps towards us, I feel. So um, I think I think that would be my invitation to young leaders, is to not just to think for themselves, but think for ask those fearless questions, not rush into answers. Ask questions and not rush into answers. You know, ask the big questions, and ask fearless big questions about how can I be a healer in today's times, a leader in today's times, a true leader, an evolutionary leader, as I like to call it, and not rush into answers, but to sincerely seek and wait for the magic to unfold from there. When I do that, when I fearlessly ask questions and sincerely seek, I think life sets us up for a lot of magic. And it's not going to be an easy ride, but it'll be a very, very powerful ride, totally worth the adventure. You know, so that'll be my invitation to young leaders, is to get onto the roller coaster, but with a lot of humility.
A lot of humility. Thank you very much, Naveen. Thanks once
Thanks.
again for coming into this space and sharing this wisdom with us and our audience. So Guys, thank you very much for watching this episode. Remember, Kauravas are not bad. That's just energy. Bring more of your Pandavas energy than Kauravas energy. And thank you very much for watching this. Take care, stay safe, and bye for now.